Hello dear, do you know you can animate any picture of your choice, just like me? In today's tutorial Femtech Studio will show you how to do so. In today's tutorial, you will learn the following. 1. How to control your character with a camera. 2. How to divide and place different parts in their appropriate folders. 3. How to make your character to blink, talk and lots more.
Hi guys, you're welcome to Femtech Studio. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to animate your pictures, just like this. And as you can see, once I tilt my head to this side, my character also do the same thing to the other side. She's also following me, and I can as well as to blink my eyes, you can see, and look at a direction, or also raise my eyebrow just like that. So I'm going to show you how this is done. So the software I'm using is Adobe Character Animator 2020, and we'll also be using Photoshop. Alright, so let's get started. Now on the project panel here, you can see I have different puppets. Okay, so the one I want to use to show you how this is done is this one, which you can see on the screen. Now let's open up this file in Photoshop so that you can see how this is being done. All right, so to do that, you could select on the puppet file and select this button. Okay, or you can also select Ctrl E to open up the file in Photoshop. Now we are in Photoshop. So as you can see on the layers panel, you will notice the first one comprises of the main folder, which is the general folder. So once I close it, you will notice everything is being closed. Alright, and you notice this folder is named with a plus sign. It means for every title you want to give your folder, it is very important you add a plus sign. Okay, now once you toggle this down, you can see two folders. The first one stands for the head file, the head profile. Okay, likewise the second one stands for the body profile, and that is all about Character Animator. Okay, in order to follow along, I have a blank folder for you, so I'm going to show you how this is done one after the other. So from the head profile down to the body profile, I have a file for you so that you can follow along. Now copy the link in the description box below. Okay, get the file downloaded from my Telegram channel, as you can see in the video. Copy the link from the description box, as you can see. So right click and copy it. Next, paste it on the web browser. Once you do that, this should pop out. Then select view in channel and select open Telegram desktop. Okay, so at this point what you need to do is to just download the file. As you can see, download and save it to your download folder. Once that is done, you should have it downloaded to your desktop. So open up the file, and that's the zip file. So extract it. That's right click to extract, then select extract here. So this pop-up window will open for the enter password. So input the password 01122012, then select OK. So once that is done, you should have the file like this. So, and that is all. That is done. Okay, so once that is done, now let's open up the blank file so that we can get started. Now, from the Home tab or from the File menu here, you will just select Open or Control O to open. Now locate where your desktop, where you save, download the file to. So mine is on the desktop, Telegram desktop, which is Femtech Studio. So open it up. Now, as you can see here, I have the beauty blank edited by Femtech Studio. So I'll be using this PSD blank file. Now, I want you to use this. So if you actually want to follow along with me, okay? So because I'm the one editing this, so this is my copy and this is your own copy. They are the same thing, but that's blank. All right. So I'll select on the file and select open. So once that is done, you will notice that the scene is actually, the layer is actually blank. Yes, reason is everything we have here are totally blank. That's why you can't see anything except from the layers that has been renamed. Okay, now so let's import the pictures that are actually used to create this tutorial. So to do that, the same thing applicable. Just select Ctrl O to open up the Photoshop, then locate where you save the file. Okay, so select this one, beauty Eyelid. This is the picture actually used. Okay, and also select the PSD file. Okay, so to multiple, select a folder files, hold down your shift key and left click on the file you actually want to select. So with this, I've been able to select 2 files, then click on open. Alright, now very good. So let's zoom into this file. Let's zoom in. To do that, press Z, left click from a particular point and release it. So once that is done, you should have it zoomed in like this. Now, what we need to do here first is to divide those parts. Okay, that is the head, the neck, the hands, the torsos. Okay, so to do that, you could use the lasso tool, the polygon lasso tool, magnetic tool, any one you prefer. Okay, but in Photoshop 2020, we have this one called the object selection tool, which is very accurate in selecting objects. Okay, so just draw within the range you want Photoshop to cut that part. Then so as you can see, the head alone is being dragged out. So to do this now, it's quite simple. Now all I need to do is to duplicate this layer, and in order to duplicate the layer, just press Ctrl J to duplicate the layer. Now you'll notice from the layer panel here, I now have layer 2. Okay, now if I should off the first layer, you notice the layer available is only layer 2. Okay, because I just duplicated that selected area. Alright, so the same thing applicable to other parts. And as for the neck, you need to cut out the neck, the hands, let me zoom out, the legs, all parts. So in order to waste your time, I've done that for you from the file you have here, which you could see. So let me zoom in, press Z, pick a point, drag over the area you want to zoom into. So as you can see, now to turn this cursor of the zoom to a selection tool, just press V. Okay, so as you can see, I now have the body parts being divided, so which you could also use if you want to actually follow along. Now what we need to do is to copy all this selected area into this blank area, all right, so that we can start putting the body parts into place. Okay, now that is Eyebrow body parts.psd. So the other parts are there which represent let me zoom out, which represents the, shall I say, the legs and the other parts which you could see. Okay, so for the sake of this tutorial, I'll be showing you just the half body. Okay, in the next tutorial I'm going to show you more on how to make the character move and other things. All right, so in order to select, multi-select different layer, let's start from this. Pick the first layer, hold down Shift and left click on the last layer you want to select. Okay, so it will highlight all like this. Now the next thing to do is to right click and select duplicate layer. So this will pop out. From the destination, click on this drop down button. Now select beauty blank from your own. Okay, but mine is beauty blank edited by Femtech Studio. Remember I told you the file you should use if you actually want to follow me along with this tutorial is the beauty blank. All right, so once you select that, then you should have select OK. So immediately you should have the file already in the blank area. So let's drag it down below the folder, just like this. Just hold down your left click and drag the button downward like that. All right, now open up the folder itself. And once you open up the folder, we have the head. Let's open up the head. So you notice you have the mouth, the left eyebrow, the right eyebrow, the background. The background simply stands for the head itself. That's the face. The background stands for the head. Okay, now remember we brought all this layer in order to replace the blank areas we have here. So in order to do that, let's select the layers, and all we need to do is to copy and replace it in that folder. So press V to pick to turn it to a selection tool, or you can just select this. Okay, now let's select on this one, which is layer 14, as you can see. Now hold down your left click button, then drag it inside the background folder or above the replace folder, above the replace layer. Okay, so once that is done, you could then delete this one, which is replace. Just delete it by pressing the delete key. Okay, and double click on this layer 14 to rename the file. So I can rename it as face background. The face background, and click enter. So once that is done, once I collapse it, you notice the face background is not showing anymore. All right, so let's position it. Okay, somewhere here. I think it's okay like this. Okay, now the next one we need to do is the neck. Okay, so just select on the neck, and that is layer 13. So the neck is grouped inside the body. So for now we have nothing to do for now on this aspect, so just close this for now. That is the head, and open up the body profile. So remember, when we select the neck, we have this as layer 13. Alright, so all you need to do is to hold down and drag it here. Okay, then rename the layer 13 as neck and click enter. Then delete the previous one. So as usual, set the layer in position just quite beneath the head like that. Okay, you can as well bring it down a little bit. So I'm trying to use the directional key to set it in place. All right, so the next one again is the torso, which comprises of the body. Okay, so once I select on this is layer 12. The layer 12 is both the neck and the dress are placed under the torso. Alright, so now for the layer 12, all we need to do is to drag it as usual and put it inside the same folder. So just drag this layer 12 and drag it onto the top of the dress layer. Then I can actually double click on this to copy the name and paste it. So when that is done, delete the previous one. Alright, so then just tidy up this place, move this part to the side. Now, since let's set the profile into the right direction. So let's zoom in to see what we are doing. Z to zoom in. Okay, so from here we have this like this. All right, next thing to do now is to place these files, this part, into the appropriate folder. So to do that, you need to know this first. Now, this side stands for the left arm and the left hand. Likewise, this is for the right arm and the right hand. I know it's quite confusing, but that's how Character Animator sees it. So this side for the left, this side for the right. So this is right, left eyebrow, right eyebrow. Alright, so now, so let's select this one, that is layer 10. So the next thing to do is to copy this layer into the appropriate folder, and this represents the left hand, which is layer 8. So this is the folder for the left hand, so we need to replace this layer 2. So to do that, select on your layer, then copy it, make sure it's above layer 2, then place it like that. Alright, or as well you could also copy it and put it in this layer folder. It's still the same thing. So the next thing to do is you can delete this layer 2, then rename this as left hand. Left hand. Okay, so as usual, position the hand. So you can also use your directional key to position the hand. Alright, so we have 2 more to go. Now select this, which is layer 11. As you can see, open up the right arm. So from the right arm, you could see the right arm. So the same thing, just drag and drop it above like that. Double click on this to copy, then to replace, and delete the previous one. So position the layer into the appropriate part and use your directional key like this. Okay, so the list. So for the last one now is just select on it. Now we need to replace it, drag and drop it into this folder. So that is drag and drop like this or like this. So once that is done, delete the layer 7 and rename this as right hand and select enter. Then as usual, just place it in the right area. All right. So that is how to place the part into the appropriate folder. So at this stage, let's see what we've done so far in Character Animator. So in order to do this, we need to save the file first, very important. So Ctrl S to save the file, or probably you can open up the file and select save here. Okay, so once the file is saved, open up Character Animator. Now this is not the file we are using actually, so I will just off this for now. Okay, now let us import the file the puppet we are just creating. Okay, so double click on the project panel like this. All right, then locate where that file is saved. So I guess I saved it on the desktop, Telegram desktop, Femtech Studio, source pack, which is this. Okay, so if you've been following along, that is you could have clicked on this. Okay, but since this is the one I'm using, okay, so I'm going to select this, then select import. Now once it's been imported, nothing will appear on the screen, okay, but you will see it visible on the project panel here. So the next thing to do is to drag and drop it to the scene or the timeline. So let's do that. Let's drag it and drop to the scene. Our puppet file is thus there. You notice we didn't create the space for the leg. So in order to position this character, I don't want that to look like this. So what I can just do is to position the y-axis, okay, a little bit downward like this. Okay, so thus increasing like that, and I can also scale her to move, okay, something like this, and also position her downward like this. All right, so that we can have a better view of her. Okay, now from here, take note of this. Once you import your puppet file, it is always good you set post. Okay, so once I set the reset post, you will see the red light on my face, and always try to stay in a red light, in a lightened area. We've been able to get this one, but if I try to blink my eyes or the eyeball or while I'm talking, you notice none of that one is actually working. Folder. So the next one is the eyeballs and the eyebrow blink. Okay, so that we can close our eyes, open our eyes, and do all that. All right. So let's go back to Photoshop. So we can as well as select on this and open this, or select Ctrl E to open up the original file in Photo. Likewise, you can use Illustrator if you are good in that software, which you could see. Now, like I said, let's set to zoom in and drag like this. Okay, so what we want to do now is to cut out this eyeball, okay, so that we actually want to make the eyeballs, the pupils, to be movable, right? Okay, so let me close up this layer, the body layer. We are done for the body layer for now. So let me open up the head profile. So from the head profile, we have the left eye and the right eye is what we want to work on now. So before we continue, we need to carve out this. So remember that when we copied this layer was being placed in the background, which is the face background. So we need to carve out those areas of the eyeballs and the pupils, the eyelashes and stuff like that. Alright, so let's get started. So make sure the face background is selected. And the next thing to do is pick your selection tool. So for this, I prefer using a magnetic lasso tool. Alright, so what I did is to right click and select magnetic lasso tool, and just try to cut out that space, okay, within the eyeball there. So just select a point like this, okay, like this. Alright, so once I'm done with this, all I need to do is to select Ctrl X, okay, to cut out that selected area. The same thing applicable for the other side. Alright, then I'll select Ctrl X. Now, this has been cut off, okay. So we also need to cut out, as you can see, from the left eye, we have the lid folder, okay. We have the pupil, right pupil, we have the pupil range, and we have the right eyeball. Alright, so we still need to cut out this area from the face background, okay. So let's do that again. Let me try to zoom in on my character like this. Okay, so next thing again, select the magnetic tool. Just take a nice portion. It's not compulsory, it's actually accurate. So it's just something like this. Okay, so now make sure the face background is selected. Ctrl X to cut, then select Ctrl V to paste the layer. So select your magnetic tool also, then do the same thing. So the same thing also, Ctrl X to make sure. So once I press Ctrl X, as you can see, it's giving me this error. Reason is because I did not select the face background. So select OK and make sure you select the face background and select Ctrl X to cut it and Ctrl V to paste it back. So press V alone to pick up that layer. Alright. So now the next thing to do is to get the eyeball and put it in place. So I already have an eyeball for you to use also. All you need to do is just press Ctrl O to open up the file. Then once you open up the file, you should have this, the beauty highway eyebrow. Okay, just select open. Once you select open, you should have this like this. Okay, so what I can do now is just select this object selection tool, or I can as well as use a lasso tool, then switch the mode to rectangle, drag and all over the area I want to select. Since the eyebrows are symmetrical, so I will just select one and use it for the both sides. Okay, so once it's selected, all I can do now is to press Ctrl J. Then you will notice the layer has been duplicated. The selected layer has been duplicated. So close this layer. Now I have this layer only. So press V. Now is to duplicate this layer into that edited part. So what we need to do now is to right click, select duplicate layer, then we take it down to the blank, beauty blank edited by Femtex Studio, but you know yours should be beauty blank. Okay, then select OK. So once that is done, we should have double click on this hand button to zoom out. So once you double click on this twice, you'll be able to zoom out. So this is the eyeball himself. It's quite big. Okay, so we're going to reduce it. So make sure it's selected, then Ctrl T to transpose, then reduce it like this. Okay, something like that. So I can actually just take it to this side, and I still want to reduce it. Then select, mark this. Okay, so press Z to zoom and drag over the area you want to zoom onto. Okay, still want to zoom somewhere very close like this. Alright, so press V to pick up that layer. Now we want to place it on that area. So still select on it and press Ctrl T to reduce the eyeball. Okay, to something like this. Okay, I think it's getting better. Alright, so let's see it now. Like I said, this is the right part. Okay, so this is the right hand, right arm. This is also the right eye. Okay, so let's open up the right eye and let's drag it all over, make sure it's above the right eyeball, something like that. So once that is done, then it will take it inside at the back of somewhere inside the picture, inside the face background. Okay, so you could just select on it like that and use your directional key to position it to your own should I say to your own taste, something like that. Alright, next select on the face background, close it first. Now what we want to do here now is to actually cut out the pupil from the eyeball so that we could replace the pupil. Okay, so before we continue, let me rename this layer 9 to the right eyeball. So double click on the text, copy, that's Ctrl C, then double click on the layer 9 and Ctrl V to paste. So I've copied that name and replace it, so delete the previous one. Now I have the eyeball, so what I want to do now is cut out the pupil from the eyeball. Okay, because the eyeball is movable. I mean the pupil is movable, but the eyeball is stationary. and that's why you can see plus sign. When you see a plus sign, it means that part is independent, it can move on its own. Okay, so in order to do that, let's zoom in something like this. Let's zoom in closely a little bit. Alright, so something like this. So select the magnetic tool and make sure the right eyeball is selected, then select, just give a dot around the pupil. What you need to do now is to select Ctrl J to duplicate the layer. So Ctrl J. So once you press Ctrl J, you could see it has now duplicated the layer as layer 9. So once I off the eyeball, I'm now left with the pupil. Okay. So if I off this layer 9, then I am left with the eyeball. Okay. Just note, we didn't actually cut this layer, we only duplicate that selected part. Okay. Now I want to, the eyeball is always white. Okay, so to make it this more whiter, I can decide to take my brush selection tool, make sure my layer, my foreground is set to white, and make sure the eyeball is selected. So I need to cover this layer of the pupil. Okay, so what I'll just do is just to cover it like this. Okay, now once I cover this, I'll just try to, the pupil is, the eyeball is always white, right? Okay, so something like this, just within that area. Okay, white like this. So once I open up this back, you notice I still have that my pupil there. Okay, so I need to rename this as the right pupil. So to do that, just drag and put it above, then select, double click on this, Ctrl C to copy, double click on that layer, and Ctrl V to paste. So once that is done, delete the previous one, and that is it. Okay, so we now have the right eyeball and the right pupil. So we are still left with the pupil range, which will come back to that in a minute. Okay, so for the right pupil, let me try to let's zoom out a little bit, double click back, press the Z key to zoom in like this. So select the face background and on it back. So what we will see now is press your V to move this one. So this layer, which is layer 7, we need to place it inside this lid. Okay, this lid, very important because that's the right side, the right profile. Okay, so select it and drag and drop it inside the lid folder. So once that is done, you can as well as delete this one, and probably you can just leave this, you don't need to rename the layer. All right, so once you do that, thus you notice this. So just try to place the file in between, something like this. Okay, so you will notice you're having some white spottish around that layer. Do not worry, we'll fix that in a minute. Okay, so let's zoom this and move closer to the eyes. So from what you can see, you notice the pupil is a little bit big, so we need to reduce that. So Ctrl T to transpose, and hold down your Alt and reduce like this with your left click button. Okay, something like this is okay, a little bit. Okay, then I can use the arrow key to set it in a nice position. Alright, so once I'm satisfied with this, double click on the pan button to zoom out, and Z again to zoom into a nice comfortable position. Okay, so that is done. Now we need to duplicate, copy this right pupil and right eyeball to this area also, because the eyes are symmetrical. Okay, because the eye take a very important role in your character. It shows how your character looks like and stuff like that. Okay, so in order to do that, what you need to do is to select the right pupil, hold down Control, and also select the right eyebrow. Alright, so once that is done, press Ctrl J to duplicate it. So once, now you can see this, now it has duplicated what we've just selected so far. Okay, so toggle down this left eye, then drag and drop the selected area above the right eyebrow. Okay, above the left eyebrow layer. Okay, so once that is done, what you could now do is to just use your directional arrow that is pointing to the other side, and also hold down the shift button in order to move it like this. So as you can see, now you can also just set it in the nice position of your choice. So something like this, I think I'm okay with this. Alright, so all I need to do now is to replace the name. So the left eyeball copy will be replaced with the right eyeball and paste. Then delete this one. So the next one again is drag this above the left pupil. So double click on this to copy, then double click on this to paste, then delete the previous one. Alright, so we need to put this one into the right position. So once I select on this, the layer is selected, that is layer 7, and remember this is the left profile, the left eye profile, so this has to be placed in the lead folder. Okay, so to do that, all you need to do is just to drag and drop it into the lead folder like this. So once that is done, delete this one, and you can see it's now inside. So just try to set it in position like this. Okay, so press zoom Z to zoom. Let's zoom on the face. Now what we need to do now is to actually cover this whitish part. So there are several ways of doing that. So I prefer using the clone. So right click and clone to stamp. Now I set my brush to 10. So what I can do is to just move, select on the face background. So move to the area I want to actually clone, then hold down the Alt key. Okay, and I can hold down the Alt key. Okay, so let me reduce my brush to, let's say 8, the size to 8. Now once that is done, just move over there like this to cover that area. Alright, so something like this. Okay, so I can also do the same thing by selecting this area here and doing the same thing, applying the same procedure. So like I said, there are several ways of doing this. You can as well use the brush tool to do this. Okay, the same thing applicable to the right eye. Okay, so from what we have here now, let's open up. So once we zoom out from this, at this stage is to import the blink, because you will notice from the right file we have the blink layer and we also have the left blink layer. All right, so select on the blink layer, select Control O to open. So select the blink folder, the PSD which I've created. So once you select on the blink folder, then you should have these two link, as you can see, which I've created for you. The same thing does, right click, select duplicate layer, then select it as it in that place, then select OK. Then you have this. So from what you can see, once I select V, you will notice, try to just place the layer somewhere. Let us put it here first. Okay, so select on the first one, which is for the right profile, and which you can see this is the right blink. Okay, now to know this, okay, so this is the one I should delete off. So the left blink, all I need to do is to drag and drop it above the left blink layer and delete the previous one. Okay, so what I can do now is to just move it to that position. Okay, something like this, and also the same thing applicable for the right profile, something like this. Okay, something like this. So you can as well as try to work on the position of the layers. Very important. So just try to zoom, make it more wide. Just try to enlarge it, just something like this. Okay, so you make sure it covers the whole the whole eyes. Okay, make sure to cover that area. Very important. It's very, very important. Make sure to cover that area like this. Okay, something like this. Then the next one also, so select on this. You notice once I close the blink layer, you notice it goes off. So it's just like an illusion that shows the character is actually blinking her face. Okay, I mean her eyes. Okay, it's an illusion, the character is actually blinking her eyes. Okay, so let's see how far we've gone in Character Animator. So make sure the blink is off like this, alright, because if you leave it on, it means Character Animator will assume you want your character eyes to be closed. Okay, so once it is off like this, it will only be triggered when you close your eyes. Alright, so select save, and once you select save, it automatically updates the file in the Character Animator. So as you can see, now let's set reset post, very important. So select on reset post. Okay, so let me try to blink my eyes now. So as you can see, the eyes is actually blinking right away, but the eyeball, the pupil is not moving yet. It's because we haven't set the pupil. Why I'm doing this stage by stage is for you to see, so that in case if you encounter you actually move. And also you notice we've not done anything on the eyeball, on the eyebrow rather. So once I move my eyebrow up, it's not moving, and you notice the lip also is not actually moving. So these are the three things we are going to do in Photoshop right away. Then we'll come back to the rigging of the character. Alright, so let's open up the Photoshop. So once we open up the Photoshop, since we are still there, now the Photoshop, in Photoshop, so we need to, let's start with the Pupils Range. So Ctrl Z, Z alone, then zoom in. Okay, so at this stage, let's look for, let me close this, let me see, once I close this, okay, so let me close this first, let me see the background, something like this. Okay, so let's start with the right hand side. So that is the right pupil range, the right pupil range, so which is this side. Okay, enough for us to get that, V to select, let me select this area first. So let's close the face background for now. Now for more you could see, let's zoom, hold down your Control and your Alt, then move your scroll button to the front, something like this. Okay, alright, so you could hold down the space bar to pan to move your object. Alright, so at this stage we need to set a pupil range within the eyebrow there. Alright, so you know how to do that. Make sure your pupil range is selected, the right pupil range is selected, and we are going to make use of the pen tool. So right click, select pen tool, from this place select shape, and actually want to just change the color so that we can actually see it. Let me select this as red. Okay, and select OK. Okay, so now let us pick the pupil range, that is the range at which I want the pupil to move. Okay, it's very important. So let me see, from here let's select something like this. Let's draw something like this. Something like this. Plus within that range you want it to go. Okay, so as I'm doing it, you notice something is actually happening there. Okay, so your question might be, will this reflect this in the character? Why will the character eyes not be red? Do not worry, it won't be red. So once we've done this, we could actually reduce the opacity to something, let's say 8. So once I do that, you could see, and I decide to reduce it maybe something to, let's say 5. It all depends on you. So once that is done, so that's the pupil range, and you notice it's created under layer. So what you could do is just double click to copy that layer and double click to replace it, then delete the previous one. So you've actually created the pupil range for this layer is that. Okay, so you can as well as should I say copy this to this other side. Okay, but I decide I preferred doing it, copying, creating the pupil range for the different eyeballs. Okay, so let me close this and open up the other one, which is the left pupil range. So make sure my pen tool is selected, then as well I can now reduce this to 5 and enter. Okay, so this is not changed, I guess. So as you can see, now from this we are through with the eyeballs. Okay, and that should actually work perfectly this time around without any issue. So we could actually reduce the pupil also. Just hold down the Alt key. Okay, something reasonable like this. Okay, and also do the same thing to the other side. Ctrl T to transpose and reduce it a little bit. Okay, something like this, and select enter. All right, so once this is done, we could, let us open this back and see it. Okay, so double click on this. So we are done with the pupil range, so that should start working perfectly now. The eyeball should be able to move left and right, up and down. The next one we want to move on to is the eyelid. Okay, the eyelashes, rather. The eyelashes, very important. So what we could do now is to we need to create one for this. We need to create one for that, is the eyebrow rather. So for the eyebrow, I have a file for you also. So what we could just do is let's close this first. Okay, so for the eyebrow, just select Ctrl O to open up the file, then look for the eyebrow. So this is the eyebrow, and open it up. So once you open it up, you should have the two eyebrow like this, that is for the right and for the left side, so which you can see. All right, so let us zoom it. So let us duplicate it to the appropriate folder. So right click, duplicate layer, then that is this layer as usual. So we have this. Now we have them right away like this. Okay, so let's open up the file. So we need to copy these layers into these areas. Okay, into the appropriate folder, that is for the right eyebrow and for the left eyebrow. So you can see the plus sign simply means we want the file to be independent, in the sense that once you want that layer to be movable. Okay, so that's why you have the plus sign there. So what you can do now is just select on the right hand, on the right layer, then drag and drop into the right folder. The same thing applicable for the left one also. Just drag and drop into the left one. Okay, so from what you have here now, we now have the layer here for us. So for the two sides, very good. So select on the layer, on both layer, then Ctrl T. So we want to actually move them to the appropriate layers. Okay, so let us just place it in that same position. Because you could also use your directional key just to place it in that same position. Now, what we will do first is let us close that of that layer. So on the background face, you notice we still have this. So we need to cover this. Reason is, once we blink, we move the eyebrow up, we are not expected to see the eyebrow in that same position. Okay, so we need to actually cover these layers. All right, so once we cover this, since we've created the layers for the eyebrow in the respective areas, so we don't need this layer, the eyebrow, in the face background anymore. All right, so to do that, select the face background, and like I said, you can use any one you prefer. You can use the spot healing brush. It's all depend on what you can use. It depends on you. Healing brush. So for the spot healing brush, what I just need to do is just select this. So as you can see, it has actually healed that place. Something like this. Okay, it's not compulsory, it's that perfect, but just to create that illusion that is not more there again. Okay, something like this. Okay, something like this. Okay, so once that is done, I'll select this, and you select this. So you can actually work this out, make the layer more realistic. Okay, but for the sake of this tutorial, I just want to show you. So that about that. The next one is about the mouth. Okay, for the mouth area, and which is this. And as usual, I already have the mouth preset. So for the mouth, what you need to do is to just select Ctrl O and select the mouth set, which is this, then select open. So it will open up in a new layer. So this is for the mouth set comprises of all these layers, which you can see right away, for the smile, the wow, the lid, the V, all those phonetics, sound, signs, and stuff like that. Okay, so this for the neutral, this for the this is for this, something like that. Okay, so what you need to do is just make sure the neutral is just selected, make sure all this is off for now. Then we are copying the whole file. So what we need to do is, from the Femtech, from this one, make sure this layer is selected, then go back and right click, duplicate group, then move it down to Femtech Studio and select OK. So from there, once you select on this back, you should now have the mouth and the mouth. So once we look at this, is the empty one, the one that was there before. Once we toggle this, this is the recent one we just copied there. Okay, so we could delete this now, we don't need that. So this is actually working for what we need. So we need to set it in place, and as you can see, this is the mouth preset itself. Okay, so we have mouth set there, which you need to resize into the same layer. Okay, so let me you need to on everything down so that you can see exactly what we are doing here. Okay, so from here, V, just put it in line with that one. Okay, so what you can now do is, since this is selected, you could actually just press Ctrl T to transpose all the files like this. Okay, something close like this, and select enter, then VZ again, zoom. So once you select on zoom, you notice it look awkward, right? Do not worry about that. So let us close all the old layers for now. So we need to resize the layer one after the other. Okay, I think one is not closed. Okay, we need to resize the layer one after the other. So press V to select the layer, Ctrl T to transpose, then resize the layer to fit that point. Okay, to fit that layer, something like this. Okay, all right. So you make sure they are all of the same layers, something like this. All right. So once that is, you do the same thing. So close this for now, then open up this other one, and you have to do the same thing to reduce this also. So what I'm doing is I'm holding down the Control key, the Alt key rather, with the direction, holding down my or using my left click button, my mouse arrow. So accept it like this. So if I find that I can see done with the resizing of the mouth. So for now, close the whole layer. Now what we need to do now is to cover this layer on the face background. Okay, so we don't want while the character is talking, we want we did not want to see this. Okay, we want it to display different mouth sets. Okay, so to do that is quite simple. You can just take your brush tool, okay, your paints tool or the clone tool, anyone. Okay, something similar. Hold down the Alt key, hold down the Alt key, hold down the Alt key, something like this. Okay, and select your brush. You can increase the arrow size to 10. Then let's paint that area. Okay, all we need to do is also cover this area. Okay, something like this. You can as well do more of this, okay, but I think it's okay like this. Then you can open this back. All right, so once that is done, for the whole face background, probably let me close this for now. We need to just adjust this layer a little bit. So just take your brush tool, so that once your character is actually bending the head, tilting the head, there won't be any space in between. Okay, just select the neck area and hold down the Alt key to pick a color. Okay, then something similar. So just increase the brush from the arrow down there. Okay, from the size of the brush, then just paint over that area, something similar like that. Okay, so I notice the layers are quite different, so something like this for this layer. So what I did there is I hold down the Alt key, okay, and the same thing applicable to this side, just like this. Okay, something like this. I think it's okay. Alright, so then open up the background layer back, so you should have this nice and cool. So that is that about that. Now let's see what we've done so far in Character Animator. So select Save. Once you select Save, then open up your Character Animator. Alright, now back in Character Animator. Now as you can see, you notice the eyebrows, the pupils are now moving. Okay, so first let's set the reset pose. Okay, now let's try something by blinking. Okay, look at the direction. Okay, try to look up. So you can see that it's actually working perfectly now, and you notice the lips also, it's moving. Okay, and also the eyebrows are actually moving as expected. Okay, so we are done with Photoshop. Next is the rigging mode. So let's start the rigging. Okay, let's do the needful. So once we do like this, you notice the head is somehow coming out away from the neck. We need to fix all this right away. So from this menu here, just select rig. So in the rig mode, you should have something like this. So let's try to shift, bring the character closely. You could just hold down the control key and move your mouse button to the front. Okay, then select the pan button to move like this. Okay, so for this now, let's look at it. Now, this crown icon simply means those layers are movable. Okay, and once you look at it, it means those layers are movable. That's why we have the crown icon, and the crown icon in Photoshop stands for those plus sign. All right, so let's get started by begin our character. So from here, once you select on the character, you will notice the tags. Okay, so which comprise of the head, the neck, the arms, and so on and so forth. Also the mouth presets. So if you don't like this, you can as well use the text side. So I prefer using this because this is more simpler and fast for me. Okay, so this is the origin point. What I can just do is the character itself. Okay, just set this like this. This is just for the character, nothing to that. So let's start with the head. So once I select on the head, you will notice this yellow icon highlights, right? And you can see this as the head. Okay, so what we need to do is to take it below, very close to the neck. So once I am getting out or closer to the boundary, the yellow sign, it should be on this green light. Okay, which means that is a very good position for me to place to tag the character. All right, so from there I can tag. Once that is tagged as the head, I also tag it as the neck area. Okay, so that has been tagged as the neck area also. So that is for the head. Now let's go into the mouth. For the mouth area, you will notice once I select on the mouth, you can see this is the mouth. So once I select on the neutral, just tag this as neutral, then it will automatically set the rest. So once you select on this, you will notice this is already tagged as that. S, not S, something like that. So like that has been tagged. So that is done for the mouth. Okay, so let's move on to the left eyebrow. Okay, so the left eyebrow, as you can see, it's already tagged, so which is also highlighted here. Now for the right eyebrow also, the same thing applicable. Also you can see it. Okay, so let's move down to the left eye. To the left eye. So let me try to zoom in. So hold down the control and scroll the mouse button forward. So once you have this, so for the left eye, you could just put this in between like this. Okay, it's okay like this. Then let's open up this to see what we have there on the left profile. So the left blink is within that range. Okay, the lid also within that range. The pupil, this is the pupil. Okay, within that range, and you can see the pupil size. Yes, so the pupil range. All right, so that is done. That is all about the tagging of the left hand side. So likewise the right hand side, that was the same thing, just by placing it in the right appropriate folder. So we are done with that also. Now the next one is the body. Okay, so let's zoom out just by holding down the control key and scrolling out. Okay, using the scroll button, then hold the pan button to move up like this. So let's zoom out a little bit by holding down the control button and scrolling out. Okay, so when you are trying to rig your character and you notice something is not actually showing, you can as well as switch back to the record mode and then switch back to the rig mode. So with that, you'll be able to see your character parts. Okay, now from here we have, let us now tag the necessary areas. So let's start with the right arm, which is this, the right arm. Okay, so the first one you see here is this. So select this, then move it closer to where the arm and the torso get connected. So once you are getting to that area, or once you get to that area, you see a green sign, which means that is the nice area for you to actually place it. So once that is done, then select that area. So this is the right arm, so we'll tag it as the right shoulder also. Okay, so now the next one again, we need to add more tags to this hand. So we pick the handle, this handle too. Then for the elbow, somewhere around here, we tag it as the elbow. Then apply it this as the elbow, the right elbow. Okay, the same thing applicable here. The hand, somewhere around there, so we tag that as the right wrist, and also tag it as draggable. Okay, now once this is done, we need to add bones to the characters. Okay, but let's see what we've done so far in the record mode. So in the record mode, I'm able to see this as I can actually select all the hand. Now you notice this, it's somehow that we haven't allocated a bone to the hand. Alright, so now for us to correct this and also take note of this part, we need to correct this part by adding a tag to this place also. So to do that, let's see how we could go about it. So to add bones to that region, we need to select the stick tool. Now from this point, just drag it to the next arrow. Now for other character animators I've seen so far, few make use of those one stick like this. Okay, so it depends on how detailed your character is. So as for me, I always use 3 more. You can as well use this, and that is all. Okay, but as for me, I used 3 more sticks on each part. So 1 for the middle section, 1 from here down to this point. Okay, like this. Okay, and also 1 from here down to this point. Okay, and also another 1 from here down to this point, and another 1 from here down to that point. Okay, so that is that about that. Now to stop that popping out so that this hand won't get out of the way, we need to add a tag within this area. So to do that, all you need to do is just add the stick tool within that area like this. Okay, and set it as fixed. Okay, so it is being fixed. That area is now fixed. So as you can see, it's fixed. So let's look at it in the record mode. So from what you can see here now, once I try to raise the hand up, you will notice it's not getting out of hand. So you can see it's actually okay now. Okay, and you notice the hand looks more realistic this time around. It looks as if bones are being attached to it right away, isn't it? Now you can see it looks as if there is a bone inside that hand. Alright, so the same thing is applicable to the left hand side. So what we're going to do now is to rig this other side. Okay, and you'll notice the stretching. Okay, so we are going to fix that also. So the rig mode. Alright, so the same thing applicable to the other side. So let me just do that on time. So select on the right arm. From here, pick the selection tool, drag it up somewhere around this place, then tag it as the left wrist also. Okay, so the next one is pick on the handle tool, then tag this as the elbow, and that's the elbow. Also the left wrist. So you also tag the left wrist and draggable. Okay. Next, pick up the stick tool to add bones to the character. So from here, take it downward like this. Also from here, down to this region, and also down to this region. Okay, like I said, there is no one way to this. It all depends on your character and how realistic you want the character to look like. Okay, something like this, and one more to close the space so that the hand won't look as if it's going out of the body. Okay, so to add just one more, just to cross it like this and select that as fixed. Okay, so we are done with the rigging of the head and the torso, including the hands. We didn't actually rig the torso. All right. So now you can see from the rigging mode we have 99, which means it is okay and they are correct. Okay, so numbers of handles you assign to each character will be written down here. So now to reduce the stressiness of the character hands, so what we need to do is to just all over this place and right click. All we need to do is from this place just click on it and select arm IK. So once you select arm IK, so for the arm IK will be available, as you can see. So this stressiness, I'll show you what it does very soon. So let's switch to the record mode. Alright, from the record mode, as you can see, let me try to just raise this hand up. So you will notice, let me try to stretch it. You can see still stretched. Now I don't want that to happen, so what I need to do is to select my arm IK, so which is this, my arm IK. Now for the arm IK, the stretchiness, once I increase the stretchiness, means the ability of the character to stretch. Okay, but this kind of character is not a superhero. Okay, so I'll set the stretchiness to 0. Okay, so that once I try to even stretch it, so that is it, guys, for today. In the next tutorial, we are going to look at how to add the legs to the character, and also how to make the character to move the left, right, look at the right hand side, move to the left hand side, and other things like that. Okay, so thanks for watching.